Hey there YouTube, I'm Yukitsu, this is the Yukitsu Times. Welcome to my channel, welcome back to a little bit of surviving Mars. So we're at the point now where we're going to get ready to build ourselves our first proper dome, the main sort of residence for our citizens. Now there are a few things that we want to consider when we're building our first dome, and primarily it's going to be what we're going to be using it for early on. And early on, almost always you want to have one that can get the underground rare metals. This is going to earn you that income that is so vital to you being able to advance in the game just a little bit there. So being able to sort of harvest that is going to make a humongous difference. Going ahead and letting our drone here, or whatever this is, go and collect all this metal, that's going to be quite good for us as well. Might have to reorganize my techs a bit here too. We'll see how that sort of goes, but actually I want to get the AI robotics first, so let's go ahead and get... We'll continue this because I don't want to lose the progress, but we'll do that then live from Mars, then see how things are going. But yeah, we need a couple certain key techs there, but that's all largely fine. So let's go ahead and start building our power cables for here. We don't want to be building our power cables like out too quickly, but at the same time we do need to start building them pretty much now. Let's go ahead and build you like this, I think. Yeah, I think there's fine. So we don't want it to be too close to our source of rare metals there, but we don't want it to be too far either. This looks pretty good. We just have to wait for that metal to be cleared off, I think. Hopefully the terrain's not uneven. Sometimes it is. Once that last little bit of metals there is gone, we can check to see if I have to adjust the position at all, but this looks pretty good. Your first dome is always usually going to be a small dome, and they're quite bad. They only have a small number of squares, and the amount of stuff that you can actually realistically put in one of these, very, very limited. So I'm never too happy with these sort of things here. Hydroscopic vaporators, that's giving me access to fungal farms. Okay, let's grab that. And if I'm lucky, we'll be able to get regular farms as well, but low G fungal farm is actually pretty good in the early game just because it doesn't take up internal space, and internal space in your dome is actually a premium sort of thing. You're definitely going to want to have access to. Hopefully they finish this stupid thing. Okay, so yeah, they're still blocking objects, so I have to go a little bit north here. That's perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and move you to here. And that's going to be our first dome being built here with a cable connection. All very, very good. We'll have a redundant cable sort of moving that way. And this way, you know, if something bad happens to our cable, it malfunctions down here, then it can go through the secondary route. Always have secondary routes for all your cables. We're also going to have a secondary cable down this side. And I'm just going to go like this, actually. Makes it a bit easier to figure out where the hell to put it. Alright, like that. And just for the fun of it, I'm going to see if I can fit in. No, looks like I didn't quite... Oh yeah, no, I can do it. Alright, let's just do that for the hell of it. This is going to be the landing pad for our colonists. It's a bad spot for it, in my opinion, but whatever.
Sector scanned.
Should be okay. Oh, shit. I'm noticing that our concrete extractor is full of concrete and does not have a concrete depot beside it. So let's give it one of those. Okay. Alright, so we got our redundant power cables, we got our dome itself being created here. Now, our dome is going to provide us a whole slew of problems as soon as it's done building. Looks like we can... Are we done refueling yet? No? What's this going on about here? I don't know. It's flashing for no good reason whatsoever. Which is interesting, I suppose. Okay, and I think that this guy over here actually has got metals in him. Okay, so drops that all off and off he goes. Looks like he still has more to collect. Good for him, I guess. So yeah, these buildings, the domes, very, very resource expensive. It takes your drones a long time. That's why we got the alert saying we've got a heavy drone load. We are going to need as well a lot more power production. So we're going to go ahead and start that off, I guess.
Sectors.
I'm going to start building it actually down to the south here instead of continuing off to the east there for our power hub. Let's go ahead and do it like that. And don't necessarily want to be doing this too quickly here. Let's also add in another universal depot to the south over here. Should also be doing some fuel depots beside these things here, so like there, and also a rare metal depot. And a fuel depot over here, rare metal depot over here. There we go. So that'll just make these things fairly useful as landing hubs. I probably also need to, like, you can go into these things and actually change the sort of stuff that they're allowed to have there. So we can go ahead and disable fuel, for example, which is a good idea, and the rare metals, since we don't want either of those to show up there. We also don't want the food there. But everything else is fine. Over here, we're again looking at getting rid of food, getting rid of rare metals, and getting rid of fuel. We want those to sort of be at the nexus points that we're going to be putting them at. Okay, so drones are completely overwhelmed here. That's all fine. Hopefully we've got a little bit of fuel here. How's our... Yeah, we've got 2 fuel in the base. Okay, so we're still looking at about another full day before this. Day and a half, actually, before that finishes. Alright. So we'll just continue along, chugging, as it were. We do want this Explorer AI quite quickly because it will be a pretty good boost to our tech rate, our research rates, so that will be quite a nice thing for us. It would be nice as well to get a couple meteor showers so that we can get that advance to science, or potential science boost there. Don't always get it. Alright. It looks like we have unloaded all of the parts out of those, so I have accidentally sent rockets back home with stuff in them, which there's an alert that tells you not to, but I keep forgetting to read or be intelligent in any capacity, so yeah, that's always fun. You can see the drones sort of working away here with their little weird 3D printer hands, and yeah, we produced our first dome. So as you can see, this is like bringing up a whole bunch of problems because we haven't actually got the dome ready for habitation yet. And broadly speaking, we don't really care too much that it's not ready for habitation just yet, because we're not going to be inhabiting it for quite a while. We still need to put a whole ton of different buildings in it, like a whole bunch of this stuff in there. We need a whole bunch of like this stuff in there. We need a lot of different things. We need to increase our power grid because I don't think it's quite robust enough for us to get it working while the dome is at full operation. We are going to go ahead and just build like this. And that'll be enough for now. So we're going to do that. We're going to go ahead and start doing our piping as well. I don't like doing my piping because the stupid pipes are fiddly and annoying and require a lot of attention. More than they should, honestly, but whatever. It is just the way the game is sort of designed here. Ah, crap. Okay, so we're going to have a deviation of our pipe there. Usually I like it having following the power cables, but looks like that's not happening here. And I also don't really like having it traveling along that sort of area near the thing, but I always forget to not do that. Although, realistically speaking, I'm always going to do that just because you need your first area to be fairly condensed, so. Alright, and let's put down extra moisture evaporators. We're actually going to want one more of them, if I recall correctly. And we're going to need a Moxie, so let's go ahead and grab one. The Moxie just produces oxygen, like I mentioned in the last episode. Very easy to build these. I need 2 of them, though. Actually, I've got the tech to improve my moisture evaporators. Why don't I just improve my moisture evaporators? This is going to cost me quite a lot of polymers, but it's probably a little bit better. We got our Explorer AI done. Great. Got Live from Mars coming in pretty soon here, which is also good. We need some of this physics stuff here. Extractor amplification is still looking pretty good, but a lot of this other stuff I also need quite badly. Are you almost done? 2 more? Okay, so as soon as this is ready to launch, we're going to launch it. We're going to send another one back from Mars to, or from Earth to Mars with a bunch of supplies, and then the one after that is going to be passengers. But looks like this one's ready to launch. Let's go ahead and send it off. This one's going to start refueling, but in the meantime, let's also go ahead and continue finding metals.
Sector scanned.
There we go. Alright, so this is looking pretty good. Now that we've got our pipes down, we do need one more thing with them. That is just an endless stream of pipe valves. So what happens is, in this game, all of your shit leaks. So you're going to have to be able to cut the pipes whenever that happens. Otherwise, you're going to be losing a whole ton of resources. What essentially happens with the water, unlike with the cables, is that water starts venting out of the hole. And that means that that's water that's not getting into your dome, which means you're literally going to have your people constantly saying that they're dying of water exhaust or water loss or whatever the hell every time, which is the worst. So you have to have quite a lot of these stupid things, quite a lot more than I would really like to have, but you sort of have them situated like I've got them here. And you'll be able to cut off any sort of pipe leak and redirect the water from one side to the other without it being too disruptive. You just have to make sure you've got a redundant line. You just need two usually, and then enough pipe valves to separate those two, as well as keep all of your stuff running. So I need to have them here and I need to have them here, but in case, like, if this little bit goes, I need to be able to block off this and this, so that oxygen is still flowing out that way, oxygen is still flowing this way. If a break happens here, I have to be able to shut this off, I have to be able to shut this off, so that oxygen is still flowing this way and this way. So basically you just need two routes from every single spot where there's production. Otherwise you're just going to end up getting completely screwed over by the idiocy that is pipes that leak. It's terrible. Anyway, now we have got a whole bunch of things that we should be building for our dome. They're not super important for me to actually get like right now, but we're going to go ahead and start getting some of them anyway. You generally speaking want to start with the living quarters. The reason is that they're more comfortable, and comfort is what dictates whether or not people are going to have children. And that happening is a really important thing for us to have happen. We also need to have some of these services, and generally speaking you can't afford to have all of them covered properly in this small of a dome. The larger domes, it's easy to do. Even a medium one, you can easily cover all of the needs. But generally speaking, I get rid of luxury and gaming. It's a little bit hard to sort of keep up with those particular desires for these people. You can fix those just by adding in the casino complex later, but it is actually quite difficult to do as is. So what we're going to add in is the diner, a nice simple one, the infirmary. The nice thing about the infirmary is that it also reduces the comfort requirement to have natural-born Martian citizens, so that's good. And then we're also going to have the grocer. Now the grocer and the diner are a little bit redundant since they both have food, but the diner is services of dining, social, and food, whereas the grocer is food and shopping. This is the cheapest way for us to get the shopping aspect done. It does consume food as well, which is not really that big a deal. Now, a whole bunch of other ones can be fulfilled with the statues and with the parks and stuff like that. So all of these are very similar. They make a great thing to sort of just fit in between our other buildings there, and they're going to be able to sort of fill that role. They don't really accommodate very many people, but that's perfectly fine because they're quite cheap, and we'll usually have a couple of them in each of our domes. The other thing that we're going to do here is go ahead right away and assume that we're going to be building this for our colonists to have children in, but we won't worry about that just yet. We're going to build some of this, but you know what, let's build it now. Why not? What's the worst that could happen other than mass death and pandemonium? Anyway, so we build a nursery, we go ahead and build a playground, and we'll also go ahead and build our research lab now. Conducting weird experiments on the children to make sure that they don't turn into weird Martian mutant things. Anyway, let's also chuck in a small pond there. Drones are heavy load there, sure. Alright, and our rocket is back at Earth, so we can now load this back up with more things. Like I said, we're going to go with another moisture vaporator. We're going to actually also get another fuel refinery, honestly. Let's get, I think, 20 units of food. That feels pretty good, maybe even 25. just sort of grabbing up as many of these resources as I can. Let's go ahead and grab one more of the machine parts, I think, and then we'll just fill the rest up with drones, because we're running out of drones quite often. Let's actually do 2 less drones and get another thing of polymers. That should be good. Alright, we've still got 1.25 billion, 1.25 billion, quite a lot. Should be able to manage with that. Let's go ahead and get our storages down here. So, yeah, this is broadly speaking our first dome, and let's take a look at everything that we've mentioned here. So we've built it here for the underground rare metals, and this is kind of a very important thing for us, being able to access those. We've built in it someplace where people can live. Any sort of residence will do, but the living quarters is the best one at the start because it's comfortable enough that people will be able to have children. We've got the infirmary, which reduces the comfort requirement for people to have children. We've got ourselves a diner and a grocer, which are just services, and we've also got little statues and small fountains. Nursery is a house for children, and the playground is a place for them to sort of go to do whatever the hell. Honestly, not much useful in as far as I can tell, but it does stop them from going nuts, so it is helpful in that sort of sense there. Alright, and these buildings are obviously not going to be functional while we're still building up here and have got no people. Let's see here, life from Mars is coming in pretty quickly here. Yeah, I would love to be able to get... There's an anomaly. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab that. See what we can get. But, yeah, I think everything's functioning as it should be right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to need more power once we get this up and running here. Once people actually are in the buildings and actually using them, it'll change sort of your power requirements. Life from Mars is done. What's past that? Productivity training. I don't really need productivity training that badly right now, but we'll see how things go. We'll see what's past the low-G fungi, because I really want the normal farms. That randomized tech is kind of a pain in all honesty. Okay, so let's just go ahead and build our power cable straight out like that. That should be fine. And this is the rare metals extractor, as mentioned. It's going to be how these people work out there and get us rare metals, which is always a nice thing to have. And now that we've also got this done, let's go ahead and get back into our storages here. You want your food depot to be nice and close to your colony so that all the food gets stored quite close to it. And you want a rare metals depot quite close to this thing. It'll get redistributed to our 2 landing pads because that's where we're going to be shipping it off from. But still pretty useful thing to have.
The way our scientists were reacting.
Okay, so you get 2 different options here. We can get science immediately, or we can get the engineering boost. And the boosts are always great unless you somehow find this really late into the game, because a 10% reduction is going to be worth more than 1,000 over the game easily. 1,000 is barely anything, in all honesty. Yes, we're going to have lots of buildings not working. That's nothing to worry about. We will be getting those online as soon as we've got more people living in here. As you can see, we have a malfunctioning cable because we have a redundant line. Does not matter that the power this way is being cut off because it's going this way. So that's all fine. Yeah, I'm worried that we're going to run out of power as soon as we start this part of town, but whatever. No, low odds that we'll find stuff down here, but I'm getting the, hopefully getting the, what's it called pretty soon, the deep scan probes or whatever they're called. I can't really remember. I'm hoping that's past the autonomous sensors, but the odds of it are not necessarily great, let's put it lightly, but we'll see. We'll put something in queue just so that in case this goes into overflow. Alright, so this is landing. Let's go ahead and land this one down here.
Anomaly found.
Probably shouldn't have landed there, actually. It doesn't really matter. Alright, send you out to there. And this is going to be nice because it'll let us sort of get that fuel done a little bit faster. We're going to deprioritize you, make you up prioritized. I want this one filled up and away pretty soon. And we can go ahead and drop in more moisture vaporators. Can I throw one up here? That ought to do. Good use of space jammed in there. And we can go ahead and throw in our fuel refinery down here or something. It doesn't really matter that much. There we go. And we just know that we're going to need this once we get, like, farms done. Okay, so our first breakthrough discovered, nocturnal adaptation. That's kind of interesting, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I find that you actually are more likely to require night shifts early on when you've got a small number of domes and have gotten lots of colonists somehow, which does happen in this game. It is possible to end up with, like, 1 or 2 small domes with, like, full colonists, in which case getting them to work somehow is a great thing to do. But yeah, how are we doing here, all in all? Still have lots of work for our drones to do, that's fine. Might even need another universal depot, which would be pretty impressive, actually. Let's just get it. Put it, I think, over here. I'm gonna go ahead and ban food, rare metals, and fuel. Same sort of things, just keep the stuff that we need in specific places on the specific ones. So that's what we're sort of doing there.
Sector scanned.
Okay, sector scanned with no resources. Again, really hoping we find something good here. Yeah, we're getting 600 a day in terms of research, but it's really not that much, honestly. Alright, so we're getting, I think, 24 fuel per day, so it takes about 2 and a bit days to get a rocket going, but all in all, it's pretty okay. Everything's looking pretty fine, in all honesty. Drones are taking a long time to get everything done, because there's a lot for them to get done. I probably should not have made this universal depot, actually, because they're redistributing stuff. They try to evenly spread resources across all your whatevers, which is really dumb of them. I think it's unnecessary, but well, it's what they decide to do. I would like it, actually, if you could change that sort of AI behavior there, but well, I'm gonna have to drop my colonists over here, aren't I? I might just wait till this is also refueled and send them both at the same time. I don't know, actually. That might be a smarter idea, since I don't need to colonize right away, and it would be nice to get a good opportunity to get a little bit more science. In any event, though, this is our first colony, and this is pretty much everything you need for it. You don't need to fill out all the space in this just yet. There's 3 tiles left, basically 3 wedges of this pizza, and you can fill them in with, like, apartments or whatever later. Thanks to the update, I can build another dome just over here and have them connect up, and all the people living in this current dome here will be able to sort of live here, and like, I could make this one where all of them live and then just build a bunch of businesses over there with amenities or something over here or something like that, and that would just make it a much more simple process. You could even have a few people living in each of those other domes as well, and that just makes it so I can do lots of other things. Meteor shower incoming. There's nothing to worry about as far as your first meteor shower goes. It literally has never ever started in the spot that I was playing in, and it provides potential for, like, bits of extra science, so the meteor showers are actually a positive thing in the early game. Later on, when they actually can encroach on your territory, I find it's usually the third one that could potentially hit you. You do actually want to worry about that then. Ooh, okay, soil adaptation. Let's get that. If I can have farms before we start this first colony here, that would actually be really, really good for me. We will get the extractor amplification, though, just because it's already on the way. But other than that, though, I think we're going to call this an episode, because we have done that thing that we were saying that we were going to try to do. We've gotten ourselves a colony ready for people to inhabit, so that is, yeah, this is our first dome. Anyway, I hope you found this episode enjoyable, and of course, as always, hope to see you guys all next time.